streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Well, hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague Varghese P. Abraham, and what we're essentially up to every day at 8 a.m. For those of you who are joining us, you know the drill by now. We take a look at a couple of things. I'll point them out right now. We take a look at the overnight developments. We take a look at what are the top headlines telling us. Hindi, English newspapers, newspapers from down south, some tabloid headlines as well. Varghese helps us with a keen focus on Kerala as well. And that's not all. We'll take a look at what the social media is abuzz with. X, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. If there's a visual that's going viral, we'll throw it up on the big wall over here. And if there's a meme that's going viral, well, you've got quite a few meme lords here in the studio that will help you decode those memes as well. But essentially the idea is for you to catch the news pulse of the day. This is your one-stop shop. So get down in the comment sections, even as we're trying to break these newsroom barriers ourselves, these rigid structures of journalism. How about you also meet us halfway? Get down in the comment sections, tell us what is it that you'd like us to do, and we'll try to build up a debate, discussion, a discourse, depending on what the topic suggests and suits, and try to bring you a balanced and nuanced perspective on that particular topic. Meanwhile, we have, of course, jotted down a list. We don't want to waste your time. Of course, there is too much to cover in a particular newspaper, and we've got plenty of them. There is certainly a list that we thought that we will put across, and in Manipur 6 people have been killed. I mean, this is after the silence and the clamor that has been broken apart because of gunfire on the Bishnupur and the Churachandpur border areas, and those farmers
they are
being
technically
killed.
not borders, but they are technically borders between two communities. It's a self-imposed border.
No, absolutely, you're absolutely right. And you remember when our colleague visited Manipur, he brought us those visuals of that barricade point. A troublesome situation. We'll bring you the latest details on that particular aspect, but that's not all. In terms of politics, and when we're looking at politics, 2024 general elections, India INDIA blocs meet second day in Maharashtra today. Today is that big particular meeting. Yesterday Rahul Gandhi came out in big newspapers. He's showing the cameras. This is what the Guardian has to say about Prime Minister Modi and his links with Adani, and he's quoting the Financial Times, and he's asking some prominent questions. Those questions is something that we will talk about as well, but that's not all. There's a 5-day special parliamentary session that the central government has called.
It's quite sudden. It's from September 18th to 22nd, and I think when we were looking at the papers, nobody has a clue, just a lot of speculations.
Absolutely. And one nation, one election, that's the word that's doing the rounds on various, social media
Also,
websites.
Women's Reservation Bill, UCC.
Reservation Bill.
That's what I was saying. A lot of speculation is going what could be on the agenda.
Some people are also saying that, elections are going to get pushed altogether.
Yeah,
so
that is also that.
Too many things. We'll take a look at that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, right here on the front page of the Dainik Bhaskar, it says, Kal se Surya sadhana mein hum. which essentially means that, well, you know, from tomorrow, Aditya L1 is going to launch. You can tune into News 9 Live for all the latest and a particular show with the right kind of experts in the run-up to the launching from the Satish Dhawan Space Center. This is going to be our second, you know, space research bid in just about 2 months, and it's certainly awesome.
Already after Chandrayaan, I think all eyes will be on the launch of Aditya L1. But the real point is going to be that we will be tracking it for the next 4 months, Kabir, just like how we tracked Chandrayaan for almost 1.5 months.
Chandrayaan की बात जब की जा रही है, तो let me also tell you that this particular show will also throw up a segment where we're going to talk about what the Chandrayaan's rover, it has picked up a natural anomaly, you know,
a natural event. Again, they've not mentioned as to what that event is all about, but yeah, some interesting find.
And of course, another payload has confirmed sulfur. So India's experimentation on the lunar mass will give you a quick roundup of that as well. But that's not all. We're learning about a bomb blast, a suicide bomb blast that's gone on in Pakistan.
9 soldiers have been killed.
9 soldiers have been killed in that particular attack. This is the latest that just trickled in. We'll talk about that also very quickly. And of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because G20 is the flavor, is how Rahul Gandhi put it yesterday. That's the first line of his press conference. And it surely is. I mean, take a look at what's happening in the national capital. The NSG has been brought in. How to curb protest, you know, a Western perspective has been taught to the Delhi police.
Beautification of Delhi.
Beautification of Delhi. It's completely been decked up, and you know, I was crossing some of those hotels yesterday. You know, G20 logos across all the top-notch hotels in the national capital. The NDMC area is going to be under strict vigil. You know, snipers placed across all building, you know, top points, straight out of a Hollywood film. But at the same time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Joe Biden, they're going to be holding bilaterals as well when Prime Minister welcomes Joe Biden.
But at the same time, there is question of whether Xi will attend the meeting. That is, the Chinese president will
absolutely.
attend.
Uncertainty looms over Xi Jinping's participation.
Only Li Qiang, the Chinese premier, might attend is the entire controversy that's going on. But let's find out.
All right, then let's get cracking, ladies and gentlemen. Even as we've got a first, you know, railway board woman chief in about 118 years, and that's impeccable. That is and should be the news peg of the day, shouldn't it be, Varghese? We talk about women empowerment all day. Some women out there would say that, you know, there is no need for women empowerment because women are already empowered.
Until I actually read that, I was like shocked. Are you sure? And after independent India, you know, existence, is this the? It took such long.
Such long. We're talking about 75 years of independence. 118 years for the first woman railway board chief. That is something that we'll talk about as well. Hong Kong is going through its own extreme weather event. We'll try to show you those, you know, heart-wrenching visuals of what Hong Kong is going through. And monsoon may come back in September.
Might revive.
We're talking about a driest August. We're talking about some of the a coldest March, a hottest April. I mean, what's really happening with our calendar? And this is all adversities. Why is our climate
so
going
extreme
up and down
when
like
it comes to the fluctuation in our climate?
And the reason is, well, certainly, it's only and only us. That's something that we'll talk about as well. But first and foremost, let me take you through the top headlines of what it essentially says. What should we do first?
I think we'll start with Manipur, and I'll just get you the latest details.
All right. So 6 people killed.
6 people killed.
Manipur. This is fresh violence that is being reported out of Manipur, ladies and gentlemen. Varghese with all the latest details.
And you know, Manipur gun battle enters 3rd day. It's been the 3rd day that this battle has been going on.
There are mortars, there are snipers, there are automatic rifles from the valley, from the other side.
That is being aimed at the hills and from the hills to the valleys, and it is technically a war zone. I mean, if this is the kind of sophistication that you're seeing on the ground, where people who are having animosity towards each other are aiming at, I think this is going far out of control. The forces are unable to do anything, and still recently we did hear about looting of arms again, and then we're talking about recovery of arms, but then this is the sophisticated nature of it. Also, Kabir, remember we were in fact showing how there was improvised arms that was also being created.
Right, from electric poles, you know, a trigger that has been welded into an electric pole
using aluminum beams, and
it's being used.
Local material being used to actually create these sophisticated.
It says here popular
weapons.
tribal songwriter and 5 others killed in shelling and firing. So it's not just firing, it's not just gun battle, it's shelling as well. Take a look at some of those visuals. Try and understand what's really panning out over there. Take a look at that, Varghese. Proper guerrilla warfare. You don't even know how many people are
and this is
involved in
happening
right
between two citizenry group of India itself. The battle between groups of armed men. I'm just reading from the Hindustan Times. The battle between groups of armed men with both communities began early on Tuesday after a 26-year-old farmer, a resident of Nasena village, was shot at. Now that is when the battle lines were drawn in this 3-day gun battle has been going on. And
3-day gun battle, ladies and gentlemen. 3-day gun battle after the parliament session, I beg your pardon, the Manipur assembly session, after various calls of, restoring peace and normalcy on the ground, after various, rounds of exchanging barbs and blame game, we know that there is a porous border. We understand that, the narco-terror element does certainly exist, and the socio-economic fault lines in terms of reservation, who's the scheduled tribe, who's the scheduled caste, all of that is panning out, but the amount of killing that's taking place,
that is
my
the shocking
goodness,
part of it.
My goodness.
Also, Kabir, let me read this part to you. The district administration officials from Chuchandpur and Bishnupur and security officials confirmed that 6 people had died in the 24 hours between Wednesday evening and Thursday evening. Now, the 2 more people were also killed in Chuchandpur district on Thursday. And this is the kind of shocking information and statistics that's coming in. On Tuesday, 2 men were killed in separate incidents of violence at the same spot near Narsena village. While one of the victims was killed by a bullet, the other died when a country-made gun he has been using misfired, said the officials. Now, the deaths reported on Thursday make it the bloodiest 24 hours the state since June 13th, when 9 people died in Common Clock village, and at least 163 people have died and another 50,000
163
since the ethnic violence have broken out.
This is the official data. We don't even know what the official figure looks like right now, Varghese.
I mean, I think they
drones used to select targets. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is happening in Manipur. Take a look at this particular report. 4 of the deceased were village volunteers. Another, the songwriter-composer who died while being evacuated to Aizawl. All incidents of gun battles reported along the Bishnupur-Churachandpur inter-district border, a restive zone that divides Manipur's hills from the Imphal Valley. So that is, again, it's turning out to be this border point, which you're saying is not actually even a border.
It is technically, see, it's a border that has been created by the Meithis and the Kukis. It's an inadvertent border because both the populations are interspersed in that area.
Right,
they have their own, as I said, village defense volunteers or whatever you call them. But at the same time, these are militant groups ganged up on community lines, facing each other. And tell me, Kabir, when you have mortars, sophisticated guns,
it's not even
isn't it short of a civil war? I mean, what is the government doing on the ground? I think
it's a proper war zone.
It's a
I think
proper
which is why journalism that is being carried out from Manipur is proper embedded journalism. I mean, you'd expect somebody who's gone, between the lines of various, wars in the Middle East. And recorded something like that. It's nothing short of that.
It's no longer riots. It's no longer, flare up. It is no longer anything.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. Security sources are telling us that drones were used to select targets near the 2nd IRB base.
No, that is a sophistication. That is a sophistication.
Right, drones are being used in Bishnupur's Narasena, where essentially this gunfire battle is taking place, from where over 300 weapons were looted on the 3rd of August.
This is what I was coming down to.
The ILTF, just one last point, the ILTF, a conglomerate of tribal organizations, which came here to the national capital, met with the Home Minister, met with various secretaries of the Home Ministry, declares immediate emergency shutdown of Churachandpur district with gunfights going on for 3 days. Now, this is the situation on the ground right now, Varghese.
Now you look at it. You have groups armed, you have militants armed, you have a kind of a civil war going over there, and then you have the forces. I mean, the forces who are supposed to be trying to bring in peace, they are in a soup because there is no coordination between them. One is blaming the Manipur police, is blaming the Assam Rifles. Assam Rifles are blaming the Manipur police. Recently, we saw how the Assam Rifles have in fact gone for a defamation case against a Manipuri politician for trying to defame their heritage. And this is the situation that is there, where there is utter confusion. And after May 3rd, this violence continuing in Manipur unhindered with so much of sophisticated weapons is nothing short of a sub-civil war that is happening. What is actually supposed to catch the eye of our security experts right now, because this gunfight, it's a gunfight that's been going on for the last 3 days in a kind of a border kind of a situation that has been created by both communities within the territory of India. So why is it that people are not asking the appropriate question on?
Why aren't the wires sending across reactions of the Chief Minister? Why is it so?
Biren Singh's last speech, I think, went just ahead of the defunct session that we can call it.
That is a scripted script.
It was a scripted script. Exactly. Even that,
exactly know what the man is going to say.
So yeah, you peace should prevail, everybody should cooperate. But the fact remains is that
that's not all. That's not all. Now I've been hearing the Chief Minister N. Biren Singh say for the longest time that those who are behind this will be brought to justice. Strict action is going to be taken. But clearly, there is no action. There is no room for action.
It is fight for all that's going on.
Take a look at this, Varghese. It's not just about gunshots. Take a look at this. Arsonists burned down 2 abandoned houses in Imphal West District in the evening. A power supply station near Moirang was earlier destroyed, leaving more than 10 villages in Khoirantak and Khosabung without electricity. So there is a different kind of warfare at play as well. Sources in the security establishment reported use of drones by armed outfits to obtain targets for incessant mortar shelling. This area is close to the 2nd India Reserve Battalion.
Look at the sophistication. You are selecting areas using drones for mortar shelling. This is military grade stuff. Is someone in the security establishment sleeping? This is military grade stuff that is happening on the ground. Communities are targeting each other on a military grade level, and there seems to be no one interested in trying to bring it under control.
Ladies and gentlemen, those who are tuning in to the live stream right now, do get down in the comment sections. Tell us what the newspaper dailies are unable to capture. If there are people from the ethnic strife-torn state of Manipur, help us understand what is it that people from other parts of the country are actually missing out. We know that there are, and I'm reiterating, we know that there are socio-economic fault lines at play, not one, a plethora of them. But the killing really needs to come to a stop. Before we move on, Varghese, one last thing. Is President's rule still an option on the table?
See, President's rule is the only option on the table right now, because if you're talking about kind of civil war that we're talking about, drones being used to target areas, mortar shelling that is happening, military grade of, this is no longer a riot. This is no longer groups of mobs going around and pillaging. This is organized warfare that's happening on the ground. And if it's happening right under the noses of the security forces, then questions should be asked is what is happening in Manipur? Why there is delay? Why is it that armed gangs are, in fact, this battle that has been going on for almost 3 days, if that is happening, then I think there is something terribly wrong. Terribly wrong within a territory of the country, and President's rule is the only way so that at least the army, the Assam Rifles, the police in Manipur could all be used to bring the situation under control. Weapons are freely flowing, and if there is this level of sophistication when it comes to targeting communities, that means they have been militarized. Both the communities have been militarized.
Well, so seems like President's rule certainly an option that is still on the table, and seems like with each passing day the only option on the table. Assam Rifles, the regiment has to go on and slap a defamation case against a politician. That's the level that we've come down to. The Assam Rifles can't see the Manipur police eye to eye. They can't be seen shaking hands together. The women on the ground, their protests from both sides of the communities have been creating an obstacle for the agencies and the regiments to carry out their work. The border is so porous, people are calling each other terrorists. What's the way out?
See, right now,
helpless situation is what we've come down
I
to.
won't call it helpless, Kabir. It has become a situation that is gone completely out of control. Two militarized societies within the territory of India waging a battle of sorts against each other. That is the risk factor of this entire thing. We are looking at how our security aspects are being challenged, and Manipur is at a crossroad. Remember, it is closer to Burma, it has a border with Burma. If you ask any of our military experts, they have been saying only one thing, and that one thing that they have been trying to highlight is about the fact that you cannot have this level of instability happening in the northeast. It has a potential to spill over. We do understand the kind of tribal kin ties that the people of Mizoram have with the Kukis in Manipur. We also know the kind of kin ties that are there. Then you have the Naga factor
No,
involved.
but wait.
So
wait.
you can't
Hold on,
keep
hold
this
on.
tinderbox going on.
Let's take a little bit of a pause here. The Assam Rifles, comments like the Assam Rifles are coordinated with the Kuki militants. The Manipur police is with the Methi community. This kind of bifurcation. Why doesn't the Manipur police come out and clarify? Why don't the Assam Rifles and Manipur police hold a joint press conference and tell the people that these kind of words, because now we're sitting on 4 months of this kind of blame game that's taking place, and these kind of contradictions are still coming out. People are still. I mean, take a look at this. We've got somebody who's commented in this, on the live stream, saying that Assam Rifles are coordinated with the Kuki militants. Yesterday, viral was uploaded. Please do watch first that. I mean, of course, see, without corroborating any kind of visual, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult for us to throw it out there, on the screen. We won't do that until unless we have absolute knowledge about what that visual is. I know that restrictions are less on social media and people are free to distribute, send, share all kinds of visuals, which is why they end up going viral. But for the rest of the people, we're 140 crore strong nation. It's important that we put out the right kind of visual. But Varghese, again, coming back to that, why not a joint press conference between the Assam Rifles and the Manipur police?
See, first of all, there is trust deficit between all the coordinating forces over there.
Right.
The army did face a lot of problems from the between the the Manipur police, especially when it came. Initially, they were trying to go ahead and find out the places. Then you had these huge women groups that tend to stop forces on the ground. So it is a very, very complicated situation. I would propose that Home Minister Amit Shah, who knows what the situation is all about, and who I think he would be in fact looking at the fight that is happening right now, because it is tending towards a very complicated civil war kind of grade level of action between these two communities.
No, because with the advent of drones now coming in, I mean, you're using drones to come and locate where you're going to do the mortar shelling.
Mortars.
There is shelling. There is shelling.
There is shelling. I mean, shelling. You
actually
these
mortar
shelling and other things.
Nail on the head when you said.
You see, mortar shelling and other things are part of low-key artillery use on the part of the armed forces or the army. That is the kind of situation that we are looking at. But here, when you're talking about mortar shelling, that to targeted mortar shelling, using of drones, it just at a level of what is called as a civil strife. This is no longer a civil strife. It has to be categorized. And I think Home Minister Amit Shah should actually press the alarm button where he says that enough is enough. We are taking over the security of the entire state of Manipur. Disarm all
exactly. Take a look at this. Take a look at this again. A comment in the live stream comment section. It says Methi farmers LOUMI who were killed during the gunfight wore combat dress and bulletproof vests. Manipur incident, if not handled properly, will become the darkest chapter of India post-independence, and that is still a possibility, of course.
Well, Manipur is becoming one of those kind of a situation because the visuals just shock me, Kabir. I mean, those visuals just shock me that you are moving in armed, if this is also true, you're having in fact wearing camouflage uniforms and moving across. It just shocked me that people are acting as cohorts like an army unit, and our armed forces who have a history of bringing peace in war-torn areas in Africa to everywhere. You're telling me they are incapable of bringing peace in Manipur? They are capable of bringing in peace in Manipur. So the local politicians are keeping these embers burning for whatever reason that they want them to burn. But at the end of the day, I personally believe that Home Minister Amit Shah understands the situation and he has to now act tough. Let the president's rule be applied on Manipur, and I think it is high time things are looked on the ground where they disarm the militants. There's a lot of weapons, a lot of sophisticated weaponry also being used. Explosives and artillery are coming into use right now.
What's more,
the issue about weapons coming in from across the border as well, Kabir.
What's more, Varghese, and we'll have to move on because there is a lengthy list to cover over here. But what's more is that there are several allegations on the Chief Minister as well in this entire scenario. And the CBI is now probing those 27 odd cases, 19 related to crimes against women, and it's a 53-member team, out of which again you've got some 30 odd women officers from various parts of the country. So it seems like in terms of investigation of what has already happened is gaining some momentum. But when you're talking about restoring normalcy on the ground, we're taking equal amount of steps back. At least that's what the optics look like right now. All right, let's shift our focus. Manipur is something that we will, of course, do a detailed discussion on during the day. So do catch that discussion as well. Could happen at about 3 p.m. or 7 p.m. Of course, just a tentative fixture that we're putting out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Let's also talk about some politics that's taking shape. Equally important for everybody, for all the countrymen. Several aspects at play. Now, what do you want to talk about first, Varghese? Would you rather talk about the parliamentary session, the special one, or would you want to talk about what the INDIA bloc is going to talk about?
I think first we'll
because
go to the
yesterday we spoke about that we're going to get to know what the logo is going to be like. We're going to get to know what the agenda is going to be like. We're going to get to know what the common minimum program is going to be like.
So I think we'll have to go to INDIA then.
And INDIA, the NDA on the other hand, coming out and saying this is the Ghamandia parties' meet. That's what's happening.
In fact, 28 Times has put out a dedicated page for INDIA.
Right.
India leaders.
It says My India. The page name. The page is called My India. My INDIA. So all right, INDIA blocks readiness for the 2024 polls. I'm reading here on the front page of the Times of India. Varghese, it says India to let state panels discuss seat sharing, but eyes 400 state fight versus the Bharatiya Janata Party.
So basically they're looking at letting the INDA platform work in terms of vote consolidation, especially when we are looking at the secular vote consolidation. Now, a lot of people have understood that when it came to the local numbers, especially when it came to the vote rate, it was fragmentation of the secular vote that tend to have led to the BJP consolidating its votes in a way. So that fragmentation between various parties could have been unified, and therefore they are looking at those 400 seats on that level. So they are looking at consolidation of that fractious votes so that it would turn out to be, the sum of the fractions become greater than the numbers.
And now we have a tagline to this as well. All those, Sitaram Yechuri sitting to the right side of Rahul Gandhi. And yesterday, the media people were going pretty much crazy over this. And we've got a tagline now. Judega Bharat, Jeetega India.
When you spoke about CPIM leader Yechuri next to Rahul Gandhi,
right.
Do you know both of them are facing huge elections in Kerala's Pudupalli, where the candidates put up Jake Thomas as well as Mr. Ummanchandi's son Chandi.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Varghese Abraham with the latest and the keen focus on Kerala that I was speaking about. So basically,
they are both rivals
sharing the dice
and they're coming on the same dice.
In Pudupalli, actually at loggerheads.
At loggerheads. So this is the strangeness of this alliance. So when you have Yechuri and Rahul Gandhi sitting at each other, they are actually tearing up each other. I mean, their people are tearing up each other at Pudupalli for that bipole that has happened because Mr. Ummanchandy passed away.
Yesterday, we got a press conference from Rahul Gandhi. And why Rahul Gandhi has raked up the Adani issue again. And I'm going to ask the control room if you've got visuals of Rahul Gandhi showcasing that particular newspaper, and because that is what TV channels went gaga over. That's exactly what the print paper has picked up. So many papers have picked up. It's on the front page of so many newspapers where you can see Rahul Gandhi holding up that newspaper and talking about why our reputed newspapers outside India, the Financial Times, the Guardian, and he quotes them as well, are talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's links with Adani. He also spoke about his previous speech. He says that, last time I was in Parliament, I spoke about how the Prime Minister travels abroad. You've got, the businessman traveling with the Prime Minister. And very soon, you've got various deals that the businessman gets and the various projects. He also cited Dharavi. Being in Mumbai, he cited Dharavi. That abhi Dharavi mein bhi Adani sab there is a new project.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that redevelopment project, many people are saying is going to really bring life back into Dharavi. But then again,
it'll change the face of Dharavi.
Questions, big questions that Rahul Gandhi has again put across. So that was a precursor to today's meeting. These are visuals, some of the visuals from yesterday's meet. Rahul Gandhi showed those newspapers.
I think the Hindu has captured that aspect as such. They have in fact put out on their front page. That is the visual that you were talking about. You were talking about him taking up the printouts of all these international papers, especially
That's
the
the Financial
and
Times.
raising the, and then raising up at that press conference. There you have the, I think the Guardian that also has.
That's the Guardian, absolutely right. So this is what Rahul Gandhi did, and he did so in English and in Hindi. Jairam Ramesh and K.C. Venugopal to either side of Rahul Gandhi did not really mention much, but pertinent questions. You see, he's taken some names. He said there is a Chinese businessman, a Chinese national, Chin Chung Ling, and K.C. Venugopal, Rahul Gandhi, and
a person from
Jairam
UAE,
Ramesh.
and a person from
Nasir Ali, Shaban Ali. I'm forgetting the name right now.
Yeah, so both of them are said to be the, or rather have been acting like the front men. This is the allegation also. Please understand, it's an allegation. So it's an allegation that these two frontmen, they were acting as frontmen for the Adani enterprise in routing money and buying shares.
Understand how Rahul Gandhi is. See, take a look at this. It says UAE Taiwan nationals with links to Adani bought shares in Group 6 company. So Rahul Gandhi clarifies for the common man out there. He says, पहले आपने पैसा लिया, आपने अपने शेयर्स को इन्फ्लेट किया, आपने उसी पैसे से जाके बाहर पोर्ट्स और पब्लिक एंटिटीज़ को आपने खरीद लिया. ये सब आपने किसके पैसे से किया और आपने क्यों किया? प्राइम मिनिस्टर को बाहर आके इस बात का बयान देना चाहिए. He should answer to those headlines where it says Modi linked family. There is Vinod Adani, who's the brother of Gautam Adani, and a Chinese national, Chin Chung Ling, a UAE national that has been linked in this particular case. He's saying ahead of G20, somewhere where you've got G20 happening, where you've got leaders of these top nations coming here, India's and the Prime Minister's reputation is on the line. And I'm just saying, I understand this is politics. I understand we're so close to the general elections. But at the same time, does he have a point over there when he's asking those questions?
See, what the group, Adani Group, has given out a statement. The Adani Group has given out a statement saying that these are recycled allegations that are being put forward again by some vested interests. And also they have raised the issue about whether it's a George Soros funded kind of an investigation and a media article that has come out which is being taken up by the opposition leaders. So they said that they will in fact go ahead and ensure that they will fight it out the manner in which they'll have to fight it out as well. But interestingly enough, as you rightly pointed out, Rahul Gandhi has also said is why is the Prime Minister not ordering a probe into this?
He asked for a joint parliamentary committee probe into this.
A JPC again probe into this. And you know what the story is about? The story is about, as you rightly pointed out.
Take a look at that. Hands holding, Lalu Prasad Yadav right in the center. And you remember Lalu Prasad Yadav's comment, right? कि नेटुआ दबाने जा रहे हैं, नेटुआ दबाने जा रहे हैं. कहाँ जा रहे हैं? नेटुआ दबाने जा रहे हैं. And I mean, which is sort of like a slang which I also picked up from the newsroom. Essentially means that गला पकड़ने जा रहे हैं, collar पकड़ने जा रहे हैं. That's the idea. Again, holding hands. That's the general idea. 28 parties. But again, Varghese, what you pointed out is actually true. You've got these parties. 28 of them, 26 in Bengaluru, 28 in Maharashtra. That's what the INDIA bloc is, harping on. But at the same time, all of these parties are in direct battles in various places as well. Like in the West Bengal, like in Kerala, various places.
The irony of this alliance, especially when I was seeing Lalu Prasad Yadav in this. Lalu Prasad Yadav was in jail during the emergency. All right. And when his daughter was born, he had named his daughter under MISA because he was arrested under the MISA Act. So, and now we have all of them coming to. So there's a lot of pragmatic politics that's happened, and the Congress seems to be the umbrella organizations that is getting all its once opposition parties under its grab, and yet they are still opposition in certain states, as I said, how it works out in Puduppally, and here they are actually having to sit at the same venue and trying to bring it out. So this is more
like
about
it's
trying
Sena
to take
versus Sena over cost of mum meat. While Maharashtra Minister Uday Samant of the Sena Shinde faction alleged that crores were being spent for the mere 14-hour INDIA meeting at posh hotel, Sena UBT's Aditya Thackeray asked them to first explain who had spent money in Surat and when rebel Sena MLAs had gone to Guwahati. So it's quite interesting over here as well. आपने पैसा खर्चा भी तो करा है, आप हमारे पैसा खर्चे की बात कर रहे हैं और आपने पैसा जब खर्चा किया अपने एमएलएज को ले जाके आप गुवाहाटी में रुके रहे इतने दिन, माँ कामाख्या टेम्पल आप जाके दर्शन करते रहे, अलग अलग रिजॉर्ट में आप बैठे रहे, जब फाइनली आपको चुनाव चिन्ह मिला तब आपने भी खुशियां मनाई, तो एक 14 घंटे की मीट के लिए हम पैसा खर्च नहीं कर सकते. ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट, भगवंत मान, आम आदमी पार्टी लीडर, अगेन केजरीवाल स्टेपिंग डाउन फ्रॉम दैट प्राइम मिनिस्टीरियल रेस एज इफ we already had those faces out there. We didn't have any clue who's going to be standing up as the Prime Minister. Mamata Banerjee over there reached Mumbai a day earlier than the rest, met the Bachchans on Raksha Bandhan. Those visuals also went crazily viral. But at the same time, again, why I'm saying Rahul Gandhi's, the visuals of Rahul Gandhi showing the newspaper to the media, why those are important is because the Adani stocks have fallen after this new Hindenburg 2.0 report. The same probe that people are trying to understand from various international newspapers, Rahul Gandhi, when he showed that exactly that Varghese, and Judega Bharat, Jeetega India, again that tagline behind Rahul Gandhi, a lot of money spent on these flexis as well. Take a look at this, Varghese, and maybe you'll help the viewers understand this better. Adani stocks fall after new report, but the group denies charges. Manipulation of share price, holding norms breach alleged. Holding norms
now the
breach
basic,
alleged.
So now what they are looking at is that whether the basic laws of SEBI that tries to ensure that stock manipulation does not happen, were it followed or not, would be the level at which an investigation would be looking at. But then, there's a money trail that is involved in this, and this is the alleged money trail that is there. There are foreign players, people sitting in foreign shows who have carried on with that, trying to buy out shares, trying to infuse money into the same shares, make it inflate as an inflatable commodity when it comes onto the market. The shares of Adani, especially several companies that comes under the another group, is what's suspected to have had inflated levels of the prices of those shares. So this artificial inflation is what was happening, is what is being alleged. Now, the group, of course, has come out and denied it, and they said that it's a part of the recycled aspects of it. But then there are documentary evidence, is what the reports of Guardian as well as the Financial Times is in fact explaining. So I think if there are documents, why not go for the investigation and clear the name? We will at least come to know what the truth is.
Which is why I asked whether Rahul Gandhi, does he have pertinent questions to ask or not. All right, we'll move on, but this is a dedicated page on the indiaalliance.
This is
in the Times of India.
Even the Times of India has a dedicated page.
Yeah,
okay.
It says everything changes, nothing changes. Right on the top. Everything changes, nothing changes. Can India solve the BJP puzzle? I'll just read the strap line. To do that, Congress will need a governance agenda. And this is coming from Asim Ali. To do that, Congress will need a governance agenda, but the party hasn't regained support amongst the middle classes yet. And its as yet vague message doesn't even have a good messenger. That's the idea of Asim Ali over here. But let's move on, Varghese, because even as we're talking about what's going to happen today in terms of INDIA alliance, and actually there's an interesting element over here as well. I quickly read that out to the viewers. Those who are still with us on the stream, do pay attention to this little aspect. there is exclusive information from sources, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just put it out there. The best for India mantra is an idea. So there was a brief meeting that was held in the evening yesterday. An idea emerged amongst the leaders, Varghese, of all the parties, which will be implemented in the future. The name of that idea is called Best for India. Bharat ke behtar ke liye. Actually, the constituent parties in India have 11 chief ministers in the country. In every state, one or the other public welfare government scheme is running, which is benefiting a large number of population. For example, Mukhyamantri Chiranjeevi Yojana, Indira Rasoi Yojana in Congress-ruled state Rajasthan, Godhan Yojana in Chhattisgarh, Krishak Bandhu Yojana or Lakshmi Bhandar Yojana in West Bengal, Amma Two-Wheeler Yojana in Tamil Nadu. And all these are part of the INDIA bloc. Now, many such schemes are aimed at directly reaching women, poor tribals, backward classes and the youth. Could this be another one of those, Brahmastras, Varghese? That is something that we'll have to look at, but I'm more focused on, why the government has called a special parliamentary session. It's a 5-day special parliamentary session. जब monsoon session चल रहा है, तब लोग बाहर जाके बोल रहे हैं कि आप काम नहीं करते, आप बात नहीं करते. Adjournment after adjournment, suspension after suspension. Look at the taxpayers' money. Look at the amount of
and then
catering
you
that's
have
done.
one that
the
has been
food
convened.
is tasty. The internet connection is strong. Everything is spot on in the parliament. But though nothing is done, in the last 1 week, I think there was proper, furor, and the parliament did function like it was supposed to. There was discussion, debates, speeches, name calling, and the bills were also passed that became laws in totality. Our criminal laws, we changed the face of what our criminal laws
Those
were.
bills were introduced as well, but September 18 to 22nd, it is a fixed kind of a session. You have only 5 sittings, and that 5 sittings, what is going to be the agenda? And Kabir, we were just before coming to this show, we were actually discussing what could be the agenda, because you have been mum over it. We were talking about
the headline says keeps all guessing. The headline says the government calls the parliamentary session.
Are you planning to push UCC?
Guessing.
Are you planning to push UCC? If you're going to push UCC, of course, the complications involved, the entire change in
Where
the
was I reading that? Where was I reading that? Take a look at this. UCC is a chance to set free Simran ja ji le apni zindagi, and respect Kekai. It can help address disparities built into existing laws and social mores that relegate women to the margins and deny them agency. UCC is a chance to set free Simran and respect Kekai. Kartavi Satyarthi has written this particular portion on the side panel of the Times of India. Do give it a read. I'm also going to definitely give it a shot right after this particular
But
segment.
then there's also one more thing.
There
is another speculation saying that 1/3, it could be the women's reservation bill, where 1/3 of the Lok Sabha seats and in state legislatures will be reserved for women. That would change the entire dynamics again.
Master stroke. Another master stroke.
And question mark.
And a question mark. And a question mark, of course, because, well, like the Indian Express puts it, you've kept everybody guessing. But what I liked here in the Times of India is that they have also questioned it. They're saying, big move afoot, government called special 5-day parliamentary session. And people who are watching us, get down in the comment sections, tell us what you think is going to happen in this parliamentary session. 5-day parliamentary session, boss. What's going to happen? Take a look at this. The conjectures. General elections with 5 state polls. One nation, one poll legislation.
See, Kabir, that
and
is
a women's quota bill. One nation.
That is. I know. Remember, you were speaking about it, and we were telling that how is it the logistics going to work about it, because the opposition is not going to go ahead with it. The logistics is going to be very tough when you're going to have one state, one nation, one poll, and of course the opposition is not going to lie on this. But then there is some kind of electoral wisdom in this, because they think that since the Prime Minister's popularity is still there, and even in the local elections, when it's there to the local legislatures, that would be weighing in as well. But we have seen how people have split voted when it comes to the state legislature as well as the national the national Lok Sabha, the national parliament as well. They have split voted, so need not be given that kind of a thing. But the fact remains is that if it's for logistics, it's going to be tiresome, and if it's going to be some kind of an attempt to ensure that the wave on the national front also can be translated on the legislature front, well, it might give you in certain places some dividends, but it may not be that great of a situation, because when it comes to state legislatures or the assembly polls, local issues play a lot of
take a look at this. Take a look at this. And ladies and gentlemen, do pay attention. It says on the lighter note first. It says another conjecture is that it could all be about shifting to the new building during the
Gunpati session,
Gunpati festival. That could also be why this 5-day session is being called, but I'm sure that's not the case. Now this could turn into a concluding valedictory session of the 17th Lok Sabha, with Modi government using it to showcase its success as a prelude to general elections being brought forward and held along with assembly polls. So basically, आप नए parliament session parliament की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं. So it's going to be like a valedictorian 17th Lok Sabha, of the Modi government. Something like that. It's going to be another report card of sorts.
But since we are in the business of speculation right now, and since the government has kept us all speculating about it, probably it's just, moving from the old parliament to the new parliament. That's all.
Yeah,
it
maybe
could be just that.
Could be.
There could be
but
nothing
I'm sure
more of
the
advancing
BJP is
elections.
going to try and do something more than that here. There is a view that holding elections at a time when the PM's approval ratings are high would help the BJP and create complications for the INDIA bloc by forcing it to take calls on the issues of PM candidate, seat sharing and a common platform, issues which are vexed in any case in the first place.
We've been talking about how we have been talking
Right.
about how whether regional parties which are very strong in their state, how would they accommodate the Congress?
Absolutely. Clubbing the 5 state polls with that for Lok Sabha will put the Prime Minister on the ballot even in assembly contests that may favor the Bharatiya Janata Party. So the Modi factor, which many people after the Karnataka loss said that you're maybe relying too much on the Prime Minister, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Clubbing the 5 state polls together and making Prime Minister Modi, the Modi element, part of those assembly elections might just end up helping the Bharatiya Janata Party, and that's the question. Schedule
but
for
then
the
again, that is
session.
where I had that this thing where I said that it need not be the case,
Right.
Because there are split voting. People might say that I might vote for a particular party in the state level,
Absolutely.
and for Modi in the center, and during the same election process. So if you club it also, it need not be that the Prime Minister's clout could be translating into regional factor votes.
Schedule for the proposed session may see Parliament shifting to its new building during the 10-day Gunpati festival, a period considered auspicious across the country. There is also buzz that the government may introduce a bill to implement its one nation, one poll plan. However, clubbing all elections together in a short span before the Lok Sabha polls may not be possible because of logistical challenges and the resistance it may face from the opposition. Now, this is what the opposition is saying. Yesterday, all of them were together in one place, so the media people also did not have to go to people from party to party. All the opposition parties were under a single roof, and they said introduction of women's reservation bill. Introduction of women's reservation bill also being mentioned as a possibility, but the Congress says it's a bid to divert from the Adani scam. Another name given to that particular scam that people are now talking, that alleged scam, people are calling it the Adani scam. The opposition is calling it the Adani scam, the Modi-Adani scam. Congress and other opposition parties termed the announcement of the special parliament session as PM Modi's gambit to divert the national focus from fresh revelations about Adani group. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen.
But then
another set of
Kabir,
exclusive information
even,
that I have for you.
even I'll tell you what, even if 1/3 of the seats, if we go with the women's reservation bill, and even 1/3 of the seats are going to be reserved for women, it will create another kind of a ripple effect on the entire opposition grouping as well, because they'll have to rearrange their entire, the INDIA bloc will have to rearrange everything within their means to actually accommodate the reservation aspect.
Absolutely.
So both the way, it's a challenge.
It's however interesting to talk about this. I'll just quickly give you this information and then we'll move on. The BJP has planned to place 225 call centers as well. There are campaign call centers, Varghese. So if you think that it's only INDIA that's doing all the work, the BJP
No,
is
the
also doing the
INDIA
work.
seems to be only meeting
In
right
view of
now.
the Lok Sabha elections, exclusive information, ladies and gentlemen, in view of the Lok Sabha elections, BJP is preparing to set up call centers across the country. BJP has called an important meeting on the 1st of September. The BJP headquarters extension regarding opening of call centers across the country. Now, sources say that in the meeting that is going to be held, opening of more than 225 call centers for the upcoming Lok Sabha. Home Minister Amit Shah will give guidance to the call center coordinators of the party coming from every corner of the country. This meeting is going to be held today and will begin with the address of the Home Minister. Is officially being considered as the beginning of the preparations for the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. दोनों तरफ से काम चालू हो गया, boss.
For
The
2024.
poll bugle has been sounded for real. it is now going to be, like people are putting, a direct battle on 400 seats. But how will regional parties play, play their role? How is the NDA strategy going to play out? Is the INDA going to keep its parties together? All of that is something that we'll have to look at, and of course Rahul Gandhi with that newspaper and the Modani scam, and now
also
how the numbers have now
when you
started
spoke
falling.
about Modani, I think we have to be ahead of 2024. We're going to see a lot of interesting verbology, if it could put it out, verbiage kind of new words that both of us will have to learn.
No,
because
you're absolutely right. Anyway, Varghese, I'm being pestered by the control room to absolutely move on to the next segment because we're running out of time. We've got lots of stories to cover, and really appreciate everybody that's getting down in the comment section and helping us out with your opinions. Believe it or not, I do go back and read out all of them. Some of them really funny, some of them really crass. I love it when you're taking a jibe at Varghese and not necessarily at me. But moving on. The bomb blast that has taken place in Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, this being reported by the Hindu, and I'll put it out, the Press Trust of India has also put out its own information that it's tracking right now. Of course, control room, do check if we've got fresh visuals from the spot because this is just a developing story, and if in case we do, we'll put that out for you. In the meantime, suicide attack by TTP terrorist in northwest Pakistan kills 9 soldiers. Now being reported from Peshawar, a suicide attack by the outlawed Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan on a security forces convoy killed 9 soldiers and injured 20 others in Pakistan's restive northwest on Thursday. A bike-ridden bomber hit the convoy in the Banu district of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Inter-Services Public Relations and the military's media wing has confirmed this news. The bomber rammed his bike into the vehicle of forces in the convoy, killing 9 soldiers and injuring 20 others, said the particular statement. Now, this particular region, Varghese, that we're talking about, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, the restive northwestern area in Pakistan. What's the geopolitical scenario over there right now?
See, right now,
can one draw a relation with what's happening in terms of politics in the mainland of Pakistan? Imran Khan, the ISI chief being detained. Munir has the final shot. General Munir has the final say.
I don't know whether, but I don't know whether you can draw that kind of a conclusion. But there is an element of it because the confusion that's always there within the establishment of Pakistan, especially in its politics.
Right.
It's not. See, the thing about politics in Pakistan is not about like we see over here, where one person made a statement on the other. There's no confusion created as to who's in charge or who's in administration. But over here, there is already a lot of confusion that's happening when you're talking about the fight going on between the PTI and the rest.
Right.
That confusion, as they try to sort it out, the administration tends to suffer. And Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has been a very restive region.
Because this is what Pakistan's poll panel assures, and holding general elections by mid-February. And Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, I mean, I'm not ready to buy that it has no sort of effect on, the politics of mainland Pakistan.
The thing about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is that it has been an extremist region. It is very close to Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, after Taliban takeover, the Pakistani Tehreek-e-Taliban, which is also known as the Pakistan Taliban, have been very, very active, and they have these safe havens, just like in India, where you have these porous borders. They tend to also carry on the attacks and move back into the shelters provided by the Taliban. And Taliban is not having a healthy relationship with the Pakistani administration. There are still territorial issues that Afghanistan has with Pakistan. We were talking about the Pashtun lands. We're talking about the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area. Many of them think it's an artificial line, the Durand line that has been drawn, and therefore Pakistan has been trying to hold on to these regions as well. These porous areas have been leading to this kind of a problem, and the terrorist activities that have been there, you have seen constantly that the Pakistan army has been trying to remove the extremist elements from these areas, but they keep coming and striking at symbols of state power. They keep striking at their personnel, and of course it is going to become a larger problem. My biggest worry is that if Pakistan tends to collapse somewhere, you have these extremist elements like the Taliban, the Pakistani Taliban, probably aided by their Afghan brothers on the other side.
Absolutely.
They might have access to some of the deadliest weapons the world has ever seen, which is to say the nuclear weapons of Pakistan. So the nuclear weapons of Pakistan is a far cry and a far danger that we are looking at. Of course, now they say they have a perfect lock and see system.
This is what the copy also says. Recently, Pakistan has been hit by a wave of terrorist activities orchestrated by the outlawed terror outfit, which is what you were also talking about. The banned TTP has accepted responsibility of this particular attack. 20 soldiers injured, 9 soldiers killed as the biker, it rammed into that particular convoy that was traveling with these,
suicide
Jawans.
attack. And Kabir, the idea is also to bleed the Pakistani army of its will to continue to be in that region, so that they have a de facto kind of,
it's going to be a tough task because Pakistan army, well,
but they have also, it
pretty much controls everything in
especially
Pakistan.
when it comes to the borders with India. It has had this uneasy, ties with these extremist elements trying to withdraw from the area.
But the headquarters of Pakistan's army has also been breached by people on the ground. Pakistan is actually going through a turmoil on all ends: military, financial, international security, and economy-wise.
But Kabir, the worry should be from here. I mean, Pakistan is going to become
terrorism. Of course, India and Prime Minister Modi at all those international summits have been raising their voice, against terrorism and this terror.
They have been raising about terrorism, but the problem is probably we are reaching the precipice of Pakistan being consumed by its own terrorism, its own support,
which is again a problem for India. Again, a problem for India.
Yes, it's going to come closer to our borders. So, but a stable Pakistan is in the interest of India. But the problem is that the instability that we are seeing in Pakistan, especially the constant attacks on the institutions that tend to provide its security, like the Pak army or the other paramilitary forces, it has been, especially by determined groups like the TTP. These determined groups, they have been bleeding the security force. Right. And they have been testing their will to ensure they can stay and hold on to law and security in these restive regions. It has been a testing case as such. But in certain areas, they have had their will. Waziristan, they've been having their will. In certain places of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa areas, Waziristan, or even when we look at the Pashtun areas, it is the local militant groups that have their will running, and the state of Pakistan does not exist in these areas.
All right, let's move on. G20 is the flavor, like Rahul Gandhi put it, and it certainly is. Let's talk a little bit about G20 as well. And Xi Jinping, who is likely to skip the G20 summit, but China continues to remain mum. India not unduly worried, but absence may not be good news for these particular ties. Even as on the front page of the Hindustan Times over here, thank you Varghese, it says China-Ukraine defense on PM Biden bilateral agenda. So when you're talking about, they put out a real nice photograph, if you could just switch the camera over here. On the top page here, on the Hindustan Times, this is a photograph of the Prime Minister's visit, to the United States. It says, rich, multifaceted talks on the cards. Discussions between Biden and Modi, why am I saying Modi? Like the United States commentator. Discussions between Biden and Modi will take stock of the progress in India's relationship with the United States. Only yesterday did the Congress give a green light to that jet transfer of technologies when we're looking at General Electric jet deal for our own light combat aircraft.
80% TOT is there in that. It is a major TOT transfer that we are looking. The Americans technically don't go for a TOT with any other country. So they have some kind of trust with HAL, and therefore they've gone for that TOT. But on the larger part of it, this G20 bilateral that we are seeing, especially Modi and Biden bilateral, I think it's
the visuals from the White House
on
the screens for ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to cut you short there, Varghese.
So this bilateral that we are going to look at is going to be very significant on the sidelines of G20. We are talking about Ukraine. Why is it that the Americans have been using India, or rather have been trying to push across India on the Ukraine front? Because we are very close to Russia and as well as Putin. And Prime Minister Modi has been speaking to Putin on the Ukraine front. You've seen this is not an era of war, is what the Prime Minister has said. So when he says that this is not an era of war, it is not an era of war because you are looking at global level of cooperation, trying to have trade ties, and here you can't go back to some kind of feudalistic arrangement where issues are there. But of course Russia has its own national interests in place, and we have our own national interests in play. But the fact is that probably the US sees that we are the ones who can actually bring in some kind of talks with Russia where the situation in Ukraine can be addressed.
I 100% know for a fact the United States always has an ulterior motive. It's given, history is witness to it. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the bilateral is going to be based on. The civil nuclear issues. India, United States have made clear progress to overcome differences on where India's nuclear liability law remains a concern for players in American nuclear industry, beg your pardon. On the other hand, Biden visit in early 2024. There is speculation that Biden may visit India again in 2024 to be the chief guest at the Republic Day ceremony and attend the 2024 Quad Summit, which might be held in India. Ties with China. They will also discuss China, particularly the Delhi-Beijing diplomacy around the LAC, the latest map interpretation, absurd map interpretation that is also doing the rounds right ahead of G20 and after the BRICS bilateral with Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping. Defense progress. The US believes with substantial progress in the defense arena, both sides will explore whether there are other steps that can be taken up. Camp David Summit. A recent trilateral summit between US, Japan and South Korea hosted by Biden at Camp David will also likely figure in this particular talk. So on the sidelines of the G20, the Prime Minister is going to be holding talks with the President of the United States. Varghese.
Well, as you pointed out, it is probably a prelude to what would be there if Biden is going to come in January as the Republic, Day celebrations guest. And this prelude also talks about the deepening relationship between India as well as the United States. Gone are the animosities of the old Cold War era, and we had that thing about, the West Great Empire game that the Americans were trying to in fact play out in Asia. So all those factors have in fact moved out, and now it's more about a close relationship, about partnership that the BJP as well as the Prime Minister has been looking with the United States. But then with Biden actually coming into the picture, see, it comes when the most important fact that we have to be looking out over here is with regards to nuclear energy, Kabir. Why is it important when it comes to nuclear energy? Is that, remember the 123 agreement that Manmohan Singh had gone ahead and signed with then US President Bush. But after that, we have been trying to move away from coal-based energy, so that the thermal factor could be looked into, and we were trying to have a lot of nuclear powered energy into the system that they want to put, but that has been affecting because of this certain law that we had passed, where the liability was kept on these companies if there's a nuclear accident. That is because of Chernobyl. But the fact remains is that this is a move forward, because we are probably going to be a nation that's going to be powered by, our electricity is going to come from nuclear energy, and probably we are going to have the highest number of civilian nuclear reactors in the world.
The linear road to future is nuclear, isn't it?
Dangerous linear road.
A very dangerous linear road is absolutely nuclear. All right, traffic curbs on Noida-Delhi route for G20 as well, ladies and gentlemen. Cops say plan your journey. I've been getting in touch with people who are planning their journeys. They're flying out of the national capital. They don't want to be around people who are living in the Lutyens Delhi area, in the NDMC area. They're moving out. They're saying we'll go away for 3 days, 7th till the 10th of September, have our own vacation. There's going to be too much tussle and turmoil. Heavy vehicles to be diverted through the EPE. The traffic department is planning to restrict the movement of heavy vehicles from Noida to Delhi between September 7th and 10th in view of the G20 summit. All these vehicles will be diverted through the Eastern Peripheral Expressway. The advisory says all essential services will be provided for obstruction-free movement and access to their destination. Medical emergency vehicles will be assured hassle-free movement throughout the national capital, so don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But cops say plan your journey. So even as the city is being decked up, do understand that people who are traveling from Delhi to Noida, all of that, how prepared are you for G20 is what the Times of India has put it. It says, where will the G20 be held in Delhi? The summit will take place at the Bharat Mandapam, Pragati Maidan on September 9th and 10th. However, the delegates will also visit Rajghat, National Gallery of Modern Art and Indian Agricultural Research. How will the summit affect the traffic movement? There may be certain traffic regulations in and around Delhi from September 7th till the September 10th. You can, of course, get in touch with the Delhi Police's Twitter page. What will be open and what will be shut, ladies and gentlemen? Very important. Outside the jurisdiction of New Delhi Municipal Council area, the flow of general traffic will remain unaffected with the exception of NH48. All medical shops, grocery shops, milk booths and vegetable and fruit options will remain open across New Delhi. Government employees, media personnel, medical practitioners and paramedics will be allowed to use their private vehicles as well as movement of passengers. The general traffic, including all types of commercial vehicles and buses already present in Delhi, will be allowed on Ring Road and the road network beyond Ring Road towards the borders of Delhi, not inside it. Where can I contact police for any clarification? There are numbers that have been given out. Will the restrictions show on the map? The Mapples, Map My India app, will show and suggest accurate alternative routes, not your everyday Google Maps. That's the idea. Will parking be available near Pragati Maidan? Due to security reasons and movement of delegates, parking services Pragati Maidan will be accessible only to authorized vehicles. Don't even try, ladies and gentlemen. Will there be any special arrangements for public transportation near Pragati Maidan? Commuters are requested to make maximum use of metro services. So, there is a mobile control room at Pragati Maidan, snipers on the buildings. Meanwhile, if you're planning to go to Delhi between the 7th till the 10th of September, well, do think twice, ladies and gentlemen, and do plan it accordingly. G20 is upon us, Varghese. All right, let's quickly move on. We've got updates from Chandrayaan, and even as we're talking about Chandrayaan, let me first and foremost take you through the top anchor on the Dainik Bhaskar. Right over here, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the top. It's got information on Aditya L1. Tomorrow we're launching Aditya L1, ladies and gentlemen. कल से सूर्य साधना में हम आदित्य L में 7 पेलोड, ये पेलोड फोटोस्फीयर, क्रोमोस्फीयर और बाहरी सतह पर रिसर्च करेंगे. So there are 7 payloads, Varghese. Aditya L1 is doing the rounds, but what is it that we have learnt from the moon? चांद पर हमने क्या पकड़ लिया है? I understand that we found sulfur, we found hints of oxygen and several other elements. People were trying to understand if we'll find some new element also. अभी तक वो नहीं हो पाया है. But the Pragyan rover went out, it turned around, it clicked the picture of the lander. For all those people who were still doubting whether India made it on the lunar surface or not, well, the Pragyan rover turned around, clicked the picture of the rover as well.
When you were talking
take
about...
Take a look at that, Varghese.
When you were talking about...
experiments that the rover is conducting at the moment. One of the 2 payloads that is on the Pragyan rover. Take a look at that visual, Varghese, on the big screen over there. We have confirmed that sulfur does exist over there, and the sunlight coming from the sun. I think the shadow that you can see on the bottom half is the shadow of the Vikram lander, because it can't go too far away from the Vikram lander. On the other hand, what is it that the payload is doing over there on the Pragyan rover, Varghese?
Well, one is that, of course, looking at the soil analysis of the moon, the requisite material that you require to have a colony or a base on the moon, you require all these base materials for it, and that is the reason why they are in fact looking at how the base materials are, and therefore sulfur becoming the second time being confirmed by another instrument on Pragyan. But then there is something that they said that they did record something, and I was trying to look for what was that aspect that the Chandrayaan 3 had recorded other than sulfur. They said they have recorded an event. So I'm just also waiting for more details on it. They called it the natural event. Vibrations during navigation is what they said. I'll just read that part of it. Late on Thursday, ISRO said that instrument for lunar seismic activity, ILSA, on Chandrayaan 3
okay, so
lander.
that's what's being used in this visual. That's what's being used in this visual
So
as
the
well.
first
You can see the probe going down in the ground.
Yeah, the first electromechanical systems technology-based instrument on the moon has recorded movements of Pragyan rover and other payloads. Okay, so ILSA comprises of cluster of 6 high-sensitive accelerometers, which are indigenously fabricated using silicon micro machining process. Now, what is the primary objective of it is to, in fact, measure ground vibrations generated by natural quakes, impacts, and artificial events.
All right.
So it recorded vibrations during rover's navigation on August 25, 2023. Additionally, an event seemingly natural recorded on August 26. Now, the source of this event is currently under investigation. So basically saying this instrument has recorded a seismic activity on the moon.
Lunar quake, a lunar quake.
No,
a
no,
lunar quake.
it could be a lunar quake.
A micro electromechanical system, which is the name of the payload, and the lunar seismic activity, ILSA payload on Chandrayaan 3 lander, the first micro electromechanical systems technology based instrument on the moon, has recorded movements of rover and other payloads. So basically, what it has done, it's not captured the lunar quake, it has captured the movement of all the
that
other
is one
rover and movement.
That is one part of it, Kabir.
Additionally, it has recorded an event appearing to be a natural one on August 26th. The source of this event is under investigation. There is a proper bar graph. My apologies, it's not prepared. I couldn't show it to the viewers. Would love to show it to you next time around. But that's not all. That's not all. In situ experiments, radio anatomy of moon-bound hypersensitive ionosphere and atmosphere Langmuir probe, which is the Rambha LP, on board the Chandrayaan 3 lander, has made the first ever measurement of the near surface lunar plasma environment over the south polar region. The initial assessment indicates that the plasma near the lunar surface is relatively sparse. These quantitative measurements potentially assist in mitigating the noise that lunar plasma introduces into radio wave communication. Also, they could contribute to the enhanced designs for the upcoming lunar visitors as well. But when we're talking about this particular video, this particular visual, Varghese, I'll tell you exactly what's happening over here. Another instrument on board the rover has confirmed the presence of sulfur in the region through another technique. That technique is what you're seeing on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. This is the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer. Now, in the video, it shows an automated hinge mechanism rotating the 18 centimeter tall APXS, aligning the detector head to be approximately 5 centimeter in proximity to the lunar surface. The PRL Ahmedabad has developed this particular alpha particle X-ray spectrometer. So, our lunar activities, and yesterday K7, he was heard talking to the media. We saw Somnath, the current ISRO chairman, telling the media that all systems are functioning absolutely fine and well on board both the lander Vikram and the Pragyan rover. In 14 days' time, we'll have covered most of our scientific experimentation.
So, when you're talking about the seismic activity that they have actually seen, Kabir, the thing is that probably it could be a meteor strike on the surface of the moon. That is what it's under investigation, is what they say. So, the vibration that they would have recorded could be because of that. Or
wait. If so, a meteor strike on the moon,
on the moon, of course, because it's a regular event. That's why you have these huge craters happening. So it could be an small asteroid kind of a strike also on the moon, and it keeps regularly happening. So that could be one of the reasons why the vibrations was recorded. So it's called. Secondly, it could also be that, as we call this, a lunar quake. Now, if it's a lunar quake, then the question would be: is there an active magma kind of a situation like on Earth that is still there on the lunar surface, and then therefore
in terms of the tectonic shifts, is there a tectonic shift happening below the lunar surface as well?
What we understand is the moon has cooled down. So then what is driving from internally, what could be driving these lunar quakes would be the big question.
Mysteries, the lunar mysteries.
Yeah, these are lunar issues that they are.
That's what Varghese is all about. All right, हमारे साथ जरूर कल जुड़िएगा. Do tune into News 9 Live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll show you the entire launch, and we'll have experts with us on the broadcast. For those of you who don't know what Aditya L1 is, what is Lagrange point 1, why are we going there, and what is the need in the first place to study the sun? Well, we'll talk about all of that tomorrow at 11 a.m. and today at 12 p.m. we're again having a detailed discussion on Aditya L1. Do tune in and catch on to that as well. Spot on, splendid visuals on that show as well. Varghese, an important day today. 118 years. It took us 118 years, including 75 years of independence, to get our first woman railway board officer.
I mean, that is
118 years. I mean, firstly, a great step, a significant step. And what's the latest details? Who is this person? How do we understand? Where is this going?
I was reading it, I'm just looking at where that article was, but you know, to say that it was still a glass ceiling that was not broken, it was something that shocked me, because I thought, you know, in the
Me
previous...
too. It was absolutely,
I was just shocked that the
this is
Indian
what I've
Railways did
learned.
not
That's
have
the
a
picture
woman
of Jaya Verma Sinha, who's taken up the office, the first railway board chief in 118 years to be a woman. First woman railway board chief in 118 years.
So I'll just, there are details about her that has been given, interestingly enough, here in the Hindustan Times also. I think they have taken up that story. I thought I read it over here. It was a very simple article on what, you know, which batch of civil services she was from and all that. Yeah, it's here. Jaya Verma Sinha to take over as first woman CEO of Railway Board. The centre on Thursday appointed Jaya Verma Sinha as the Chief Executive Officer and Chairperson of Railway Board, making her the first ever woman to hold that post since the Ministry of Railways was set up in 1905. She succeeds Anil Kumar Lahoti. Sinha is an alumnus of Allahabad University, joined the Indian Railway Traffic Service in 1988 and worked in all the three railway zones, that is the Northern Railways, the Southeastern Railways as well as the Eastern Railways. Currently posted as Member of Operations and Business Development at the Railway Board, Sinha will assume charge on September 1st and tenure will end on August 31st, 2024. So the Appointments Committee at the Cabinet has approved the appointment of Jaya Verma Sinha, Indian Railway Management Services Member, Operations and Business Development. These are in her 35-year career at the Indian Railways. Sinha has always worked as railway advisor in the High Commission of India in Dhaka, Bangladesh for 4 years. The Maitri Express from Kolkata to Dhaka was inaugurated during her tenure in Bangladesh. An alumnus of the University of Allahabad, Sinha did her Masters in Advanced Management from SDA Bocconi School of Management in Milan, Italy. She has also completed a course in Public Policy and Economics from the University of Oxford.
All right, so जो भी बैठा है उस कुर्सी पे कोई पढ़ा लिखा बैठा है और उससे भी काबिल तारीफ बात यह है कि 118 साल में पहला महिला रेलवे बोर्ड चीफ हमको मिला है. A great day, a big red letter day for India, certainly. Right, Varghese?
Well, it's a big revelation, in fact, that you know,
I used to learn in my
when we have we had a president and we have a prime minister.
What is being concealed is news. What is being revealed is not news. What is being concealed is news. That's what I learned, and you know, this is something that I learned today. So this is certainly news.
So
and,
you know, that's what I'm saying. When we had women prime ministers, we have women presidents, but the railways was still patriarchal for so long. That came as a surprise.
Now, give me the copy of the Hindustan Times, will you? Because there is something that I want to tell the viewers, which is of grave significance to them. Because we saw what happened in Himachal Pradesh, we saw what happened in Uttarakhand, right? Let me just take you through why people are expecting for the monsoon to recycle again in the month of September. The IMD has put out another detail that says that there is going to be another spell of monsoon. There you go. Monsoon may end with below normal rain, but there is going to be another spell. I'm just going to quickly read this portion particularly out. It says monsoon may end with below normal rain. This August was the driest and warmest for the entire country since weather records began being kept in 1901. So you never know if this was, you know, more than 1901, the driest August, that century-long figure that we're talking about. The India Met Department said on Thursday, adding that September rains are likely to be normal, which means that the 4-month monsoon season is likely to end with a below normal rainfall, and September will be hotter than usual too. That's not great news for the country that has seen retail inflation soar to a 15-month high of 7.44 in July, not just on account of seasonal spikes in prices of important vegetables such as tomatoes and onions, but also more obstinate inflation in cereals. Monsoon rainfall for August was the lowest in the past 122 years, since 1901 at the national level, and also in central India and southern peninsula. All India rainfall was around 191.2 mm in August compared to 192.3 3 mm in 1965, previously the lowest. Now, for central India, the rainfall in August was around 164.5 mm compared to the previous record for the lowest rainfall, which was 172. So, even the previous lowest record is above what we witnessed in August this time around. Now, monsoon to end in a below normal phase, normal rain likely in September. But why was August one of the worst monsoon months in history? There were 20 break monsoon days in August compared to 16 such days in 2005. So, a broken apart monsoon, and states with the most and the least rains. Among states, Kerala has had 48% deficient rains in this season, followed by Manipur and Jharkhand with 46 and 37% deficiency. On the positive side, Ladakh has seen the highest surplus, 169% surplus rainfall, followed by Chandigarh and of course Himachal Pradesh. We all know what happened in Himachal Pradesh as well. Right, Varghese? So it seems like on the monsoon front as well, things are not looking really bright. Take a look at some of those visuals, Varghese.
Well, monsoons are going to revive in September is what they say. This is after, as you pointed out, we had the driest August ever. But again, the question is, will we be able to get the right kind of precipitation, and if it comes at if it is going to be the right precipitation, is it coming at the right time for the crops is also a big question.
Absolutely. It seems like we've exhausted the little list that we had for all the viewers out here. And to all the viewers who have joined us in this particular stream, many thanks for getting down in the comment section as well, helping us understand. In terms of an overarching view of what international news certainly looks like, let me just tell the viewers that, Hong Kong is going through a typhoon. That is something that we will of course take up towards the evening as well, and massive visuals coming across from Johannesburg and that particular blaze in that building where 73 people got killed in that Johannesburg blaze. Smoke rises from a building amid a fire in Johannesburg, South Africa on Thursday. The nighttime blaze ripped through an apartment building mainly occupied by homeless people and squatters, forcing some to throw babies out of third-story windows in bid to save them, and leaving at least 73 people dead. I mean, imagine people having to throw their children outside the windows. And we were having a discussion up there that, in South Africa's, main central area, just like a Connaught Place for South Africa, in Johannesburg, you have these buildings which have been taken up by homeless people and squatters, like it's been pointed out in the paper as well. And because they fear there is a proper ant, what's it called? The red ant team. I'm forgetting the exact name of the team, which climbs up these buildings because people tend to shut off the windows to keep the authorities and agencies out of the buildings in order to save them from being evacuated. And because it was all shut, people couldn't even leave. People couldn't even escape their own death from the third floor. Imagine having to throw off your child from the third floor. Ghastly. Map on South China Sea different from one sent to the United Nations in 2009. After India, now Philippines, Malaysia and Taiwan reject China's latest map. So it's not just India. On the other hand, when we're talking about Pakistan, Pakistan's poll panel assures holding general elections by mid-February. That is also something that we'll have to take up because Imran Khan, his Tosha Khana verdict has been suspended. What's going to happen next? Nawaz Sharif, wapas aayenge ki nahi aayenge? That's also important for us to take a look at. 2020 election loss subversion case. Trump pleads not guilty to charges, waives arraignment, surrendered at prison in Atlanta last week. Ex-Proud Boys organizer gets 17 years in jail. Take a look at this. A former organizer of the far-right Proud Boys extremist group was sentenced on Thursday to 17 years in prison for spearheading an attack on the US Capitol to prevent the peaceful transfer of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden after the 2020 elections. In Sri Lanka, you've got key inflation rates that have eased to 4% in August. Pakistan's police vandalized Ahmadi place of worship. In Afghanistan, signed mining contracts worth $6.5 billion is what the Taliban is saying. We've signed mining contracts worth $6.5 billion.
That's a huge contract that they've signed then. And also an important source of revenue for cash-strapped Afghanistan.
Absolutely. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap up this show. Many thanks for joining with us. Varghese Abraham, Kabir Naqvi signing off. But today again, bring you the latest developments from all the courts. We'll also talk about the special parliament session with a keener focus and the right kind of voices at 11 a.m. Later on in the day, we'll take a look at what Aditya L1 has to offer. South Indian with Sudha Sadanand comes in the afternoon. And of course, the biggest debate of the day, which you shouldn't miss out on, the real talk, what India thinks at 7 p.m. and at 8 p.m. All these global stories under the global lens. That's all the time we have for you. Keep watching News9 Live.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is sitting